Tim, what's one truth about fatherhood that you've learnt since your divorce?
The biggest thing I've learnt, and I can't believe it took me this long to realize this, but your kids don't do what you tell them to do. They do what you do. Like, and so for me, it was just like, shit, I've got to, I've got to be a much better role model than what I am.
Mm.
And I don't know if it's due to the divorce. I'm not sure why I came up with that, but yeah, that's the biggest thing I've realized. And it's funny, a lot of people I've spoken to weren't aware of that either. And I don't know how we're all not aware of it.
Mm. And that is, do you think that plays into how we interact as a family as well? That we are, w- we are acting as a family unit and not realizing how much the kids are picking up on all those interactions, all the little things between the parents, maybe some of the bigger things as well. Uh, are we not aware that the kids are picking up on this stuff such at a minute level, potentially?
Yeah, I think that's true. But, everyone always says, oh, yeah, kids, they pick up everything. Like, it gets said, but we actually don't pay attention to it. They do pick up everything. And, you think by saying, oh, don't do this or, do this, that they're just going to take what you say. They don't. They just copy what you do. They exactly copy what you do.
Mm. Has there been any funny moments that you've almost seen a reflection, you've seen the mirror in yourself and thought, hang on, that's me, not you. That's sort of that's supposed to be my saying or my thing, and you're doing it now.
Oh, geez, you're making me think. I know for a fact that I definitely mirror my dad with so much stuff without trying to, or I definitely do that. As far as my kids, oh yeah, 100%. There's so much stuff. You're just like, wow, that's me. Yeah. And it's not always good stuff, unfortunately.
Well, is that almost a bit of a wake up call or that moment where you think, oh, I can see that in myself now because I've seen it in my kids? Have you had some of those moments potentially?
I don't think so because I'm pretty aware these days of what I'm doing. So yeah, I know where all my flaws are. Well, I think I do. Um, um, so yeah, anything they do, it's like, oh yeah, she's got that from me. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know you've been on quite a journey and over the last year, like, you and I have known each other for 8 months now. Matt went through the most amazing experience together on a retreat. But I'm sure there was a moment that led you to decide, hey, I think I want to step forward into the person I really want to be. Or you had this knowing inside of you somehow that you were going around and not quite being the person you thought you could be. Was there a moment, like a rock bottom moment? And was there a moment that that shift inside of you happened that you can identify that has taken you to this place of being really fascinated with connections and family connections?
Yeah, there's been a few moments along the way, and my rock bottom was a while ago, a good 7 years ago. But probably the biggest aha moment I had was I was on a retreat that I crew on, and I was crewing with a couple of guys that I did my very first workshop as a participant on, and they were just flying. They were doing so well, and I was still struggling. And I'm like, what am I doing wrong? And then I'm like, hang on, what am I not doing? I'm not doing all the stuff that we teach these guys that come on this workshop. I'm not doing it. I'm not living it. And so I made a decision then, right, I'm going to start implementing the stuff I've learned. And that ended up leading me to the Spear, the retreat that we did together. And that one there that was a change for me because it was like I didn't know where I was going in life. My whole world had fallen apart really, and I was trying to rebuild myself, and that gave me a something to work towards, um, and gave me the tools and structure to do that.
Mm. And was it well, 6 years ago is quite a time to have started reflecting on this stuff and been working, I guess, forward in life. Was there was there a pivotal moment where you realized as you were taking yourself off to these retreats in the first place that was there something inside of you pushing you towards that fix, sort of that 6, 7 years ago period? Or did you how did you end up on your very first retreat really looking in and looking inside at yourself?
I ended up on that first retreat because it was my last ditch effort. I'd already had 2 suicide attempts. I I honestly thought my family was better off without me. I actually thought it was a noble thing that I was doing. Man, I was wrong. Um, and basically, if this retreat didn't get something happening for me, I was done. Yeah.
It's quite a thought pattern, especially as I know you as having owned a business, um, creating your own world, go getting. Was it a case of on one hand you had all of that, and on the other hand the thoughts just were not, the what was being shown on the outside and the go getting just wasn't matching what your inner state was?
No, I think by the end when I hit that rock bottom, it was fairly obvious I was there. It was just, we me and my ex-wife, we went through a lot, and we just didn't have the tools to deal with what was thrown at us. And I just had yeah, so much going on. Didn't know how to handle it, and it just dragged me down into a hole. And I was diagnosed with bipolar and ADHD, and um I probably, yeah, I just couldn't see a way out. I just, yeah. And so, before that time, I was who I am now, but just, yeah, life got to me.
Mhm.
Nice to be back.
I am so thankful as a friend, as a brother now that you are here today. Man, to know that we may never have met, that yeah, I feel that. Thank you. Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Was what was the hardest thing you had to face at that time? Was there something, a truth that just hit you in the face, or was there anything that was, um, yeah, just that it hit you in the face as this has actually got to the point of no return? It was the suicides attempt?
It was just the feeling of worthlessness and failure. I felt like I'd failed everyone around me.
And, I know you have a history in business as well, and there was were you not even getting any self-worth essentially from that? I mean, I've carried my self-worth through business for years until very recently, and I know that that's what lots of us as entrepreneurs, we go and attach our self-worth to. Were there even any feelings around that, trying to hang on or,
Not,
use
not
that as
really.
a way to show your worth?
No, because I I wasn't working in my business at the time. It was, I was, I guess, lucky enough that I'd built it up to a point where it could run without me. So I wasn't even involved in it. I wasn't doing anything. My ex-wife was managing most of it, and we had a couple, high quality employees that kept everything running. So yeah, I was checked out of that as well.
Oh. Yeah, I heard a similar story the other day. Someone exited a business for over 20 mil, and he said he spent 2 years just finding almost every single way to destroy himself, his body, his mind, and had no purpose, no drive. And it sounds like you got to a similar place of just almost that it was meaningless in every direction.
Yeah. One thing I have realized, when you're young, you go out, you start a business, you get married, you have kids, and I think I got to a point in life, I didn't set those things as goals, but they're kind of things that are just ingrained in you that you sort of go out to achieve. And I achieved all that pretty early. I never set new goals. I wasn't going anywhere. I was kind of just wandering around. And yeah, it wasn't until I started having a chat with Jason, and it's like, what's your purpose? I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know where I'm going. So yeah,
Wow. It I guess it's that dichotomy of success of if we are just focus on the goals and nothing the I guess the logical goals side of things where it's a number to hit or it's a certain lifestyle to hit, that, as your experience you're sharing here is that was not enough.
no, you gotta keep pushing. You gotta keep. Yeah, you need something else to strive for.
Mm. Wow, it sounds to me like a very dark time. Were there any points of light in that time? Was there anything that was keeping you just some level of sane?
I mean, one of the main things that kept me going was not wanting to traumatize my kids with my own death. I didn't want everyone else to feel shit. My family, my brother, my sister, my parents. I didn't want them to feel shit for me making that decision. I'd still catch up with some mates and I'd put on the brave face. That was one thing that kept me going. But yeah, other than that, it was really dark.
Yeah, it sounds like quite a place to be that sort of 6 years ago, and yes, it. Do you feel like you were running from anything, or was that you? D what have you thought over the time what was behind some of that at all? Maybe from childhood or maybe some other influences, or do you think it was more just as you said, a circumstance of, "Well, I've done all the things that society tells me now. I should be happy, right?"
Yeah, there was more to it in the fact of, I don't know, there was a lot going on that I couldn't fix.
Mm.
Alicia, my wife, was quite ill. My daughter's um, neurodivergent. And I couldn't fix it. It's just everything. I was overwhelmed by the situation, by all of the situations, and I couldn't see a way out. I couldn't see, and I felt I was just contributing to the problem as well.
Almost the mirror on yourself was, you can never see the positive in the mirror on yourself by the sound of it.
That's exactly what it was.
Wow. That's Thank you for sharing that. That's a very deep place to go.
Yeah,
And
so it was a hard place to be.
I bet, was there a moment that y w as you mentioned your kids there, you didn't want to disappoint them or have that burden on them? Was there a wake up moment when you looked at them and you had some kind of spark inside of you saying, "Okay, I am at breaking point, but were you doing it for the kids or were you also doing it for yourself?"
There was nothing I was doing for myself. Yeah, they were the only reason that I was still with us.
And I know how much you love them. You and I talk a lot, and I know how important they are. So
Yeah,
yeah,
well, I thought I was doing them a favor. I really did. And yeah, man, I was wrong because yeah, what I'm giving them now is yeah, exactly what I wish I had have been the whole time.
And what do you think now, looking back? Where do you think some of those differences are between who you are and what you are giving them now versus 6 years ago, 7 years ago?
I'm giving them me. I'm giving them time. It's one thing I always wanted as a kid. It was one thing I didn't get much of. Um, but also not just me being there with them, it's like my mind is clear. Like in business, I was always stressed, under the pump. It never stopped. Like it was a 24/7 business. Um, so even when you're home, your mind's still thinking about work. So when the kids talk to you, you're not even hearing them. And yeah, you're kind of just floating through the evenings. Whereas now they talk to me, we communicate, we talk about everything and anything. You know, in the last week, I've had my eldest daughter with me, and she's just hooked on Monopoly at the moment. And we've probably played 10 or 15 games of Monopoly, and I reckon anyone would have been sick of Monopoly by now. I'm loving it because we are just having so much fun. Just the conversations we're having, you know, we're manifesting where we're going to land. We're coming up with different strategies. We're sharing strategies on the best way to win, and yeah, it's just so much fun. You know, we're role playing in some of it. It's just really cool. We're just having fun with it.
I love to hear that. We might get into some Monopoly tactics later then and see what your secrets are as you're the expert these days, and maybe, um, yeah, pick up some tips. And I know one of the, I guess, manifestations of your experiences where you did turn to drink, uh, I will say quite heavily, knowing you, if that's a word you're comfortable with me saying.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. That's putting it lightly.
Yeah, I mean, I only know you as this version of you, but I know that there was quite a journey through that, and you don't have to give us the every single detail, but what was it a sort of binge drinking once a week thing, or was there something more serious going on?
um, it was more serious. It got to the point where I was drinking almost every day. And you know, you think you're in control of it. And I probably was in control of it until the times I wasn't. And, you know, leading up to when I met you, I was trying hard to cut back, but there'd still be once a fortnight, I'd just go too far. And I would have regret. I'd feel like shit. I'd be in bed for days just feeling like shit. And I was missing stuff that I wanted to be at, and I was just over it. I was just sick of my own shit. Um, yeah, it's been a journey. You know, since I was 12 years old, I was drinking, and you know, there's been ups and downs in that. It started out as just binge drinking on the weekend, as and most of us do in society, I suppose. And yeah, just yeah, when business got hard, when business got stressful, it escalated big time. And yeah, I've never considered myself an alcoholic, and I still struggle to use that term for myself, but it's probably fits. Um, yeah, when we first went on the spear, you were there. I said, oh, I don't want to quit drinking. I just want to be able to control it. And I copped a blasting for that, and it's so true. Yeah, I know if I have one, I'll have 100. So I've committed to, yeah, never again. It's not worth it for me.
Yeah, awesome, awesome. How long's it been now?
Well, since we met, 8 months, I guess. Yeah,
Yeah. How cool.
yeah,
And this is the great thing. I know you as this person, but um, I don't know your journey to get here. So this is what it's fun to jump on and actually talk about this and actually understand where you've come from. And is there anything that surprised you about being sober?
yeah. How much I'd love it. Well, I honestly thought it was something I was going to have to struggle with for my whole life, but feeling this good is just like, yeah, it's not even an option anymore.
And has that attitude maybe played out in other parts of your life as well around just the choices you're making?
Yeah, it does. I guess I'm much more aware of what's going on around me now that I'm not drinking. Yeah, I pick up, I can see bad habits when they start to form, and I can redirect.
And I think that's played out a bit in you choosing to go to the gym or committing to fitness as a more would you say you've committed to fitness more as a lifestyle choice more than a I have to take this off my list from you and I's chats over the last 8 months?
I've realized one, going to the gym is good for my mental health. I always struggled getting to the gym and staying at the gym. But I found a gym that works for me. It's like a group training sort of style, which is connectivity. I love connecting with people. It feels like a team. I played footy as a kid, well, as an adult as well. So it feels like that team environment, which I just love and I thrive in. And yeah, for me, it's not about losing weight. It's just good for my brain. It's good for my body. I feel alive when I finish a session in the morning. It just sets me up for the day.
And I guess that's somewhat of a is that something that's kept you grounded during this time? And are there other things that you sort of turn to keep you grounded and feeling very present with yourself? Because it sounds like alcohol was your escape from things. Are there other things that you notice that have brought presence in your life?
Yeah, for sure. So I've got a habit tracker, and it's kind of like if I don't tick those things off each day, it kind of all just starts to fall apart. The main one's gratitude. Uh, I've known about gratitude for years and years, and the key is to do it daily. And especially on those days that you feel crap and you don't feel like doing it, they're the days you have to do it. And find you find something to be grateful for. And personally, I I see things like I find the positive in the shittest of situations now. It's crazy. Um, yeah, I caught myself doing it the other week. I'm like, that was a really crappy situation. Yeah, I just appreciated that. It's like, yeah, just my whole mindset's changed. It's just positive. So there's gratitude. Um, my breath. I've become much more aware of my breath and how important it is. And I automatically now, if I feel myself getting uptight or stressed, I just start breathing, and it just chills me out. I'll before I do my gratitude each morning and each evening, I just have 5 minutes where I just check in with myself, see how I'm feeling, have some breathing, and then yeah, on with the rest of the day. It just centers me. Um, I have a very structured bedtime and wake up time now, which I've never had. Um, and when you drink as much as I used to, it's just not possible.
Yeah.
So yeah, so they're the main things that keep me grounded.
They sound almost so simple.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It's like a lot of things. We all know these simple things, yet we don't do them. Why don't we do them? I don't know. Yeah, I
Mm.
can't work it out, but I know how important they are to me now, and I wish I had have known these simple things. Yeah, we're gonna just set life up for me. I would have loved to have known this 20 years ago.
Mm. Yeah. The the things that yeah, my I would tell my 20 years ago self as well would make the world so much easier. What have you got a technique with the breath? Is there one particular one you go to, or is it just being you just super aware of your actual breath at that time?
No, there's breath works that I go to. Box breathing, which is pretty simple. Most people know that one. So, in for four, hold for four, out for four, hold. That one's always good. That's the main one I sort of learnt early on. One that I've used recently, which is very similar, but it's in for like four, hold for four, and then breathe out through the mouth really slowly. And that kind of just gives you a feeling of, and it makes you feel really light.
Okay.
Yeah. And it just takes all that tension out of your body.
And when you're saying out slowly, are we talking a count of 5, 6, 7, or
Yeah, six or
talking the count
seven.
of yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's
it's
an
amazing how effective it is. Yeah, it's crazy.
that's a new one on me, so I'm gonna give that one a go. So in for 4, hold for 4, then
Yep.
out for about 6 or 7.
Yeah.
Cool. And that's out through the mouth as well.
Out through the mouth, in through the nose, out through the mouth. Yeah.
Get the perfect cycle going on. Cool, awesome.
Yeah.
I will be I'll be saving that one. And are there any of these practices that have you've shared with your kids as well?
100%. Yeah. They're very resistant. I don't know why, but when they get worked up or, they're stressed about something, like, just do some breathing. I'll breathe with you. Occasionally they will, but yeah, they quite often try and push me away and don't want to do it. So I don't know. I'll persist.
Well, I know something else that you've done as well was in a course that we were both on, we got asked to put a vision board together. That most of us did what we were told and printed out our 20 pictures and off we went. And I know yours is the masterpiece of all artworks, and it was just the most detailed. You've got pictures from the past, the future, you got everything on there. And I know one thing that really connected you was doing it with your daughters as well.
Yeah. So, well, it's probably the one task on that course that I out Henry. So yeah, I went big on that one. I don't know. I just got into it, and yeah, my eldest daughter, she helped me sort of piece it all together and helped me pick the photos out. We put them all up. I didn't just do it on a board. I did it on a full size mirror for a walk-in robe, and sorry, yeah, built-in robe. And yeah, we stuck them all up there together. And then I just said to her, I said, "Oh, do you want to do one for yourself?" She's like, "Yeah, for sure." And so we built her one, and then my youngest daughter, asked her if she wanted to do one, so she's done one as well. And yeah, we're all actually going to go through and upgrade them soon and add a few extra photos to them. So yeah, it was a really nice moment to connect with them, and um, I got to learn a lot more about them, and I think they learnt a lot about me as well. Things that they want to do in life that I had no idea. So it brought a lot of good stuff out.
Interesting. I never thought of that side of things. Is what does what does your vision board say about you, or what can you learn from about others from your vision board?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, no. So um, places in the world that my kid's gonna want to go that I never would have thought. Um, Matilda wants to go jetty jumping. So, oh, there you go. All right, we're going to go jetty jumping then.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah, just little things like that. Just things they want to achieve in life, and I don't know. You don't think they have those sort of aspirations at such a young age. I guess. I mean, everyone does. I don't know why you wouldn't think that, but yeah, I didn't. That's for sure.
Well, I remember being, yeah, 7 or 8, and obviously I wanted to be a rock star, obviously, because everyone wants that kind of thing. Well, I certainly did anyway. But I also had places to travel as well. So I think it would be an interesting exercise to do with the kids to see what's inside of them. And maybe as kids, we also didn't ask ourselves those detailed questions, because I know your vision boards, they're not just, as I said, the 20 pictures, they are full blown masterpieces of everything, that every detail of life. And maybe that's something with the kids doing it, they've really thought about what does their life look like.
Yeah, maybe so. Yeah, I think I might have set a pretty good example on that one for him. Um, and well, I guess one thing that came from it also was knowing they wanted to go to these places in the world. I sort of thought, well, I know how important goals are. Why don't I set a goal for them? And I said, okay, on this date, we're going to go to whatever destination you want. Um, I'll pay for the flights and the accommodation. You have to save for your spending money and work towards getting the money for the trip to go over, and we'll go wherever you want to go and do whatever you want to do. So yeah, they've got a purpose to work towards over the next few years.
That. And I would, I think that's probably bringing you all just closer and closer together, that you've got these shared common goals.
100%. Yeah, no, but it finally feels like we're working together as a team. We're getting to know each other. It's yeah, it's I use it as a throwaway line quite a bit. Um, people ask me why I sold my business. It's like, oh, I wanted to get to know my kids, and I kind of use it as a bit of a joke, but it's actually fucking true.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow. And, that is part of your story, is, from what I understand, is you've gone from being the provider, and that's who you are. You provide, and everything else is just not your problem almost, to being an actual present, alive, connected father. What are some of the key changes that you've seen over that process of going? I don't know if you were completely disconnected, but very much being the provider, the business person, to now being their present dad who's actually around with them.
yeah. I think the the big change and the big thing I've realized is kids don't want stuff. I'd work and work and, always had to buy more stuff. So then you've got to work more and you're giving them all this stuff they don't even really want. They just want your time. So I've decided I don't need to earn as much as I was earning. I'll step away from the business and work for someone, knock off when I knock off, and then I can be 100% with my kids because I don't need to buy them stuff. I just need to spend time with them.
And that sounds like a big difference between being there and being connected. It's time.
Time is what it's all about. um, yeah, it's all any kid wants. They just want to spend time with their parents. They just want to have fun. They're going to learn more from you by spending time with you than they are by you giving them stuff and saying, do this, do that. That it's not preparing them for the world at all. And it's not preparing them for a happy life, I don't think.
Mm. Go into that a bit further. What do you mean by that?
Well, as I said, our kids do what we do. You know, when I had kids, I said, I'm not gonna do what my parents did. I'm gonna do it differently. And you know what? I pretty much did exactly what they fucking did.
Yeah. Yeah.
um and and I ended up miserable, didn't I? So yeah, it's time to do it different. And it's time to lead by example. Yeah, I would have, if they saw me just doing what I was doing, they'll do the same thing. They will. They'll just work, they'll buy stuff for their kids and they won't spend time with them because they're too busy working and they'll end up miserable and they'll continue the generational trauma.
Yeah. Yeah, I had this vision that I'll be so obviously different than my parents, but my life seems to be a very close mirror of my dad.
Yeah.
I am, we've been on quite a journey the last 8 months. I am working on it, but you're right, is uh, as kids, we become mirrors for our parents. And it's for us as individuals, I think, to make that decision to go and change it, because we will literally do what our parents did otherwise.
Yeah. And I'm not bagging out on my parents either because, you know, they did the best they could. They didn't know any better. Their parents did the same stuff. They've just copied their parents. It's a cycle, and I think there's quite a few people sort of around our age that are trying to make a change and trying to do things differently. Yeah, I'm hoping there's a shift.
Mm.
I don't know if it's just sort of the circles I'm rolling in these days, or if it's actually a shift in society. But I think people have had enough of what's been going on, and there's a change coming.
Yeah, sometimes we're very lucky with the friends that we get to choose. And I sometimes forget that people have other views, let's say, and some people haven't thought there might be a different way as well. But that's where I also sort of go back, remembering myself that sometimes it's not for me to go and walk around the streets with a banner and say, you need to change, but it's when someone is curious about how I'm doing approaching something, is to actually share with them and share my truth, not a watered down version, not to scare them as such. Maybe give them the slightly more crazy version. Yes, the meditate twice a day or breath twice a day. That I think if you'd asked me that same question 10 years ago, I might have sort of dodged the question or not fully answered it. But when I tell my truth, like I do breath twice a day, or for me, meditate twice a day, is that people think, wow, why do you do that? That's interesting. So I think by sharing what we're truly doing, other people might be inspired because they can truly see like we're giving the full playbook away versus, oh yeah, I just sort of do a few things here and there, or yeah, I meditate just a bit. No, I meditate twice a day. Same as you, habit tracker says I meditate twice a day.
Yeah, it's I think previously people were maybe embarrassed to talk about that or worried about the backlash they were going to get, the criticism. Whereas I don't know if yeah, maybe people you just feel like people are ready for a change, and so it's easier to talk about it. And the best way to show people, like you said, you can't throw it down people's throat because they're just going to push back on it. But if they see what you're doing and see it's working for you, they're going to get curious.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Ask a question and, you know, I know when you're out with your kids, the connection between you, people must take notice and say, hang on, how have you got that connection? Because I see so many kids these days that are almost it for me, it's the going out to a cafe. You got the parents, kids on an iPad, no interactions with the parents at all. And my brain starts to melt when I see that stuff. So yeah, I hopefully the work that you're doing working towards as well, maybe the iPads from the tables will be gone.
Hopefully, because yeah, I've seen it where you know kids and parents are in different rooms and they're texting each other. It's like, and you know what? I'm actually guilty of it myself. You know, before when I was still in the midst of it, it was just everything was too hard. But I guess I guess one thing that is interesting, I don't know if I'm backtracking here, but I've realized something quite recently. So by spending the extra time talking your kid through something and teaching them something they don't know, it takes up quite a bit more of your time right then and there. But moving forward, it saves you a ton of time. So, just an example on that, the other day, I was with my youngest, Gwen, and we were a bit late to go to where we were going. And I said, oh, just grab my phone, have a look where this address is we're going, and punch it into the navman. And so I had to talk it through it. I could have stopped and done it in 2 seconds, but it took me quite a little bit to teach her through it. And yeah, she got it all in there, and she was pretty happy with herself getting it done. We had to sort of work together, and when we left that party afterwards, we were heading home, and she's like, "Oh, Dad, do you need me to punch the address in?" I'm like,
Awesome.
"I'm pretty sure I know where I'm going, but yeah, could you put it in for me, just so we're sure?" And so she'd learned something. She wanted to use it. We got to interact, and in the future, I can just get in the car and she's punching the address in for me because she knows exactly what to do.
I love that.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, and that's an interesting point you raise around spend the time because then you don't have to re-explain things 500 times afterwards when you're trying to do it quickly.
Yeah. I guess it's what's the saying? hard now, easy later, or easy now, hard later. Yeah.
Yeah, I like.
You know the one I'm talking about, don't you?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think Hard Now is probably the one. Pi- I heard a good book the other day that talked about the people who are in the 2% of the world. They do the hard thing now
Yes.
because it saves them down the track.
Yeah.
So
100%.
if that means taking the stairs versus the elevator, there's some incredible correlation between all cause mentality and people who the people who don't fall in that group are the ones that take the stairs because it's, you know, these very small things that add up over time that just create a healthier, you know, brain and lifestyle body as well. What with that, it something I know about you certainly now over the last 8 months is you do spend a lot of time with the kids. What's your biggest learning from post-divorce parenting? Has there something that has surprised you in that time, or maybe you've got to spend more time in a way with the kids in some way because you know when you have them, you've got them, so you really want to spend that time with them.
Yeah. You know what? It's hard to kind of differentiate between the two because I did it all at the same time. I, I, separated from my wife, and, but then I started doing all these things that I knew were good for me, which has taken me to where I am now. So, I feel like maybe if I started doing these things before I got separated, I might not have gotten separated. um, but yeah, no, there's nothing. I can't really separate the two because I did at the same time. Yeah, I
Mm.
just know I wish I had have done it earlier.
Well, that almost brings you us onto what your purpose is in life is. You've almost had to go through that rock bottom moment to find that purpose. So I know you shared it with me last week very clearly and concisely. So I'm going to put you on the spot and say, what do you see as your purpose moving forward now?
So my purpose is to help neurodivergent parents of neurodivergent children go from chaos, disconnection, um, overwhelm, and transform it into connection, love, communication. Um, because yeah, I see it all the time. It's what I grew up in. It's what I was going down the road with my kids. Um, yeah, I just want to stop kids ending up like we ended up. I just love connecting with people, and I want to, I've started to build something really special within my family, and I want to share that with others.
And how are you going to be doing that sort of thing is and sharing that message?
So I plan on running retreats up at my property in the Riverland. Um, yeah, so it'll be a 3-day event. I've come up with a few processes that are pretty cool. I've ripped off a few processes from other things I've seen, and uh, yeah, and it's just going to be fun, just getting to know each other as a family, and then all the tools that I've learnt recently, which a lot of what they are, sharing that, and yeah, bringing families back together.
Mm. And why family events over maybe, you know, you and I met on a men's work retreat. I know there's women's work retreat specifically. Why a family retreat? Because the saying is, you know, if we change ourselves, the world changes around us. So why do the whole family at once?
No, it makes sense to me. Um, yeah, I contemplated, some time ago doing a mental health men's retreat like I crew on, and I don't know, it just didn't quite fit. You know, I want to give people what I didn't have growing up. and that's a connected, loving environment. And I want to do it with my kids.
Mm,
I want my kids involved in this. And yeah, I don't know. It's just it just makes sense to me. It came to me. It's just like this is what you got to do.
mm. Yeah, that's I feel like that sometimes is I've spent all this time as an adult not knowing what my purpose is. And then 20 years after turning an adult, oh, that's what it is. Why didn't I know that before? But it's the experiences that uh, I had to go through, and I know we both had to go through to get there. And is there something in families today, like any specific things in families today that actually concern you that you think this is why we need to be doing these kind of retreats?
Think with all the social media that is, and the tablets, the phones, people are getting more and more disconnected from each other. Like I said, when you're texting each other from the room next door instead of getting up and saying, "Hey, come have dinner," or whatever it is, you know, it's only going to get worse. And I know how important it is to get out into nature. We spoke about that not long ago. How much energy it gives you by spending just a couple of days out in nature. It gets your brain going. You just feel good once you've done it. So um yeah,
It's taking, almost taking us back to how we used to live, that our bodies inherently know that we live that way. But modern society's put us in houses and divided us from other families as well. And I think something that you and I have talked about is how important having a group of families there, all going through that experience and being there together, more than just you being there with your individual family, for instance.
yeah, 100%. It's I guess knowing that there's other people that are going through the same thing that you are makes you feel a lot better about yourself. Um, but then also having support of going through, an event like that, having that support of the other people that have done it with you once you leave as well. Um, it's funny. I was actually chatting to a customer today, and he's an Indian fella, and he didn't know my situation. He sort of said, "Oh, why have you sold your business?" And I told him what we've been through, and he goes, "Oh, can I ask you something personal?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And he's like, "Why is it in your culture that you get to about your age, your kids are about such an age, and you always separate?" Yeah, it was a really interesting conversation, but you know, and he explained he's an older fella and he's still got his kids and his grandkids living in his house with him. And because it takes a village to raise a child. You can't do it on your own, and we all seem to be doing it on our own. I don't know.
Mm.
Yeah, it was a pretty interesting conversation.
Yeah. And that shared responsibility between all generations of the family.
Yeah. And then no doubt as he gets older, they're going to look after him better than we're going to look after our parents, isn't?
As you started this podcast with, your kids copy what you do.
Yeah,
So I guess the question always is, what are we doing to make, what are the, not just the small things on a day-to-day level, whether that be how we talk, how we approach food, how we approach exercise, living, but what are the big ones that are lifetime versions of that? And do they want to be, do our kids want to be there maybe at the later stages of life for people?
yeah, geez. Yeah, it's funny. I think in our society we kind of do it because we have to, not because we want to. It kind of feels like a responsibility to do it,
Mm.
whereas it would be nice to be wanting to do it.
Yeah. The family is so tight and knit together that it is seen as
It's not a
not,
responsibility. It's just part of what you do.
yeah.
you want to do it. You want to be there helping them because they've been there helping you.
Yeah, and maybe even the idea of calling it the word help versus we are a family, like we are an energy of a family. This is how we approach the entire world as a family versus, I'm specifically here to help you. So, appreciate my help almost.
Yeah, no, it's just a natural way of things that happen rather than it's a chore or have to do it or expected to do it. It's like, yeah,
And I think we would have lived like that in the ancient times before we maybe even had human features, maybe as we were jumping around as gorillas. But as we were transitioning and becoming tribes, I think we would have had that caring of all levels and that initiation from kids to being adults. So then, as the elders, most cultures hold elders in such reverence, but the Western society, I would say, doesn't.
no, completely agree. Completely agree. It's Yeah, I think there's a lot we can learn from other cultures. Everyone seems to be copying the Western culture, but I don't know that we've got it right.
And I'm very aware of the slightly odd cycle of as parents, we raise kids, or in future, I will be raising kids. And then, you work really hard during your life. And then, ironically, you go to a retirement home and someone else looks after you,
Yeah,
even though you raised and looked after kids for 20 years or 18 years or, really, really a lifetime. It's an odd thing. But yeah, I can imagine that lots of historical cultures won't have that, that the elders are seen as to be respected.
yeah,
And when it comes to, there's a huge part of connecting with kids in their, I guess, their tough times as well, their tantrums, their not wanting to do things. Is there anything that you're doing, and especially now when you're very aware of how you're connecting with your kids, to allow that those tantrums to come through, but using that as a point of connection?
yeah, definitely. Like I said, I try and work through it with them, get them calm and grounded, and they know I'm always there for them. Like previously, I might have, you know, done the old stop carrying on, just get over it or whatever. Now it's let's work through the problem. What is the problem? Let's come up with some solutions. We'll come up with some solutions together. And so, yeah, we're connecting by problem solving, and
Mm,
working together to find an outcome that will resolve whatever's got them worked up like they are.
mm. That's it's it sounds like a lot of your philosophy is connection through doing.
100% it is. Yeah. You got to be there. You got to do stuff with them. I personally learn best when I'm doing something. So I'll have them do everything. But I'll be there to support them.
And I would imagine there's some magic moments of watching them get it or just grow, and those magical moments that happen in that process as well, that they're the memories potentially that they're the ones that we want to remember of our kids.
100%. Every day there's those moments. Matilda, my eldest daughter, she's like, Dad, can you stop being proud of me for stuff that doesn't matter? It's like, it all matters. Like, I'm proud of you for getting that done. That's cool. Like, yeah, yeah, I don't know. Can you be too proud? I don't think so.
Yeah, can you be too proud? Can you be too grateful? That's the
Yeah,
question.
no, I don't think you can. You can be too embarrassing, though, apparently.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, sure. That's I love that when kids say you're embarrassing, because it's that lovely point where they're actually growing themselves because they don't need you for that task anymore. They don't need you in that situation. And sure, as I've just got my godmom's kids who I love to pieces to reference as kids that I've seen grown up and I care about. But there's actually something awesome when they say, I don't. I don't need help with that.
There is. Yeah, and and that's actually the difference between someone that practices gratitude and someone that doesn't, because you can easily feel rejected and um unneeded, I guess, because they've moved on. Whereas with a positive mindset, it's like, wow, that's cool that they can do that now. I helped them to be able to do that.
Mm. And there's always going to be another layer. I think anyway, just in case we aren't aware, the fact that they're 12 now, they'll be 13 and 14 in a few years' time. Their challenges, the things they'll come to us with, will change.
100% they will. Yeah. Yeah, they will. And I guess we need to evolve. Well, no, don't need to evolve. You just need to remain open and calm and just take any challenge on. A challenge is a challenge. Doesn't matter what it is.
Mm.
I guess one thing that's different with my kids now is they know I'm approachable. I always thought I was approachable, but I wasn't. Some of the stuff they've come to me with recently has just blown my mind. It's been some big stuff, and I've sat back and reflected and gone, "That's pretty cool that they'd talk to me about that."
And what do you think's made that shift of when you weren't approachable really versus now where they'll bring those kind of things to you?
I think maybe it's just because we're spending so much time together and we're genuinely getting to know each other and we trust each other. Yeah, we've built trust. Whereas, as a parent, you kind of you feel like that comes without asking, but really it doesn't.
Yeah, okay.
You
Yeah.
do. They say you've got to earn trust, and you do, but I don't know. As a parent, you think it's just a given that your kids will trust you, but they don't. You've got to build it with them. And I think I've done that in the last couple of years, and that's why they've been comfortable to come to me with some pretty big stuff.
Yeah. Congratulations. Well done. Well done for building that trust. So if you could summarize and give us a quick bullet point list of how to build connection with your kids from what you've learned, what's that quick list?
Lead by example, as in genuinely, because they copy everything you do. Consistency, be consistent, know that they can depend on you. Talk to them actually, and value what they have to say. Don't dismiss what they've got to say, because they're pretty bloody smart when you actually listen to them.
Yeah.
um, and show love, which I think you know our generation's been pretty good at showing love to our kids. And probably, yeah, and the last one is um, give them time, not stuff.
I'm not stuff.
Yeah,
I think that's a big theme of lots of the things you've said is the time, not stuff, and that with time, the connection, the trust, everything develops through that time component.
it does.
Yeah. So to go a little deeper and talk about you now, what are you still afraid of to fully feel or, um, yeah, feel within you and within yourself?
I still have a fear of stuffing it up. That is, yeah, like I know I stuffed it up in the past, and I'm getting it right now, but yeah, I'm worried I'm going to screw it up, and I think that holds me back with a lot of things.
Yeah. That's, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Like I've seen you grow as a friend, and so parts of me say, well, that's surely gone from inside of you. But I think there's also an element of, is that the human condition within itself, sort of that the perfect human example of the human condition of uh, external judgment in a way.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm still worried about what people think of me or well, yeah, we know I am. You had to help me the other day and I was shit scared to do something that should be so easy and you pretty much had to hold a gun to my head to do it. Um
It was
yeah,
it wasn't loaded though. It was just for
no,
show.
no. Yeah, I've got a yeah, I've still got a fear of what people think of me, which not sure why, because I'm pretty happy with who I am. Yeah,
Yeah,
does it really matter what they think? I guess that's what I got to come to terms with.
yeah. Well, I look forward to another 8 months of our friendship and many more years as well, and being on that journey with you and being there in some of those moments to give you a friendly support, and other times just saying let's just go do it, and let's go and do it together as well. Let's support each other through this.
100%. We have been a great support for each other. Like, it's amazing how you can build such a strong connection and friendship in such a short time. But yeah, man, I fucking love you.
Yeah, bro. Yeah. 100%. It's you're when Sunday rolls around and we do our check-ins, it gets me excited at what we're going to say to each other and what we're going to lay down as the things that we're going to work on during that week. And obviously stuff like this and other chats and stuff we've had, it gets me excited to see your name pop up on my phone. There's not
Right.
too many people in my phone book that that actually get excited to see just see how deep those conversations are going to go. And as we sort of start closing this out, what truth do you still feel you need to embody as a father and a man?
Yeah, it's believing in myself. 100%.
Yep. We'll be there for each other. We'll we'll make sure we're supporting each other on that one. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And so with that, what does living an absolutely awesome life mean to you right now?
It's just I'm having fun with my kids. We're hanging out. I'm enjoying work because I get to do all the cool stuff I like and handball all the shit I don't. Um, I don't have hangovers. I still go out and party and dance the night away when I don't have the kids. I'm working towards something that I know the world needs. And yeah, I've got so many great connections around me. I just absolutely loving it at the moment.
I love that. Yeah. You got a real theme of connections, whether it's adult, kids, just bringing the best bits of you out as well within that.
Yeah, connections is, I think that's what life's all about. It's like, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so we've talked about, your journey, how you've really seen how there's such a need for family connections. So where can people find out more about your events that you're putting on and connect with your journey as well?
So the only place at this point in time is Facebook. Um, yeah, Tim Morris, come and find me. I'm in Adelaide. I'm only just getting this sort of up and running. I'd initially planned to have a 5-year plan to do my first event, but a few people have gone, Um, so yeah, it's happening pretty soon, and yeah, I reckon it's going to take off.
I know it will, 100%. So search out Tim Morris on Facebook. There'll be a link somewhere around this screen. Somewhere, go and find Tim. And I know some of the processes and ideas for your events and retreats are going to be pretty one-off. So, Tim, brother, thank you very much, bro.
Thank you, Henry. Love you, bro.